So, fam, we have a story here of two white men from the great state of Texas who plan, plot, and strategize to take over part of Haiti, a certain island to be specific. Let's get into this because it's a lot to uncover and some things that I want y'all to understand and to notice. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. Let's hit it.
Or one of two North Texas men arrested for allegedly plotting a murderous coup on a Caribbean island is now telling everybody to, quote, hold their horses. Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Hayes.
And I'm Steve Eager. Federal officials announced the indictments for Gavin Weisenberg and Tanner Thomas. Investigators allege the men were looking to recruit a small army, take a sailboat to an island just a few miles off the coast of Haiti, kill all the men on the island, and enslave the women and children. Fox 4's Alex Boyer has more on this bizarre story. Alex.
Yeah, guys.
You know how they say, fact is always stranger than fiction.
Things in perspective, a criminologist I spoke to for this story tells me that this is the most bizarre case he has ever reviewed in his 29 years in law enforcement. Now, those two North Texas suspects remain in jail. And again, as you mentioned, they're accused of plotting a coup some 1,700 miles away. These are the North Texas men federal prosecutors say were planning to travel to an island in Haiti to kill the men and turn the women into sex slaves. Dr. Alex Del Carmen calls it the most bizarre case he's seen in his entire career.
Well, this is a very unusual case, right?
According to a federal indictment, 21-year-old Gavin Weisenberg from Allen and 20-year-old Tanner Thomas from Argyle had been plotting to invade Gonave Island with a population of 87,000, which is part of Haiti. Prosecutors say Weisenberg and Thomas planned to invade the island by sailboat, heavily armed, using homeless people they would enlist from Washington, D.C. to murder the men on the island, take control of the territory, and then turn the women into sex slaves.
How many homeless people do you think you can get on a freaking sailboat to go take over an island? And we're going to discuss how many people are on this island shortly.
Prosecutors say Thomas prepared for the attack by enlisting in the Air Force for military training, and Weisenberg enrolled in a fire training academy but later flunked out. Both men are accused of manufacturing child pornography by manipulating and exploiting a juvenile. I talked to Del Carmen about the wild and highly implausible scheme.
I think it's more than just talk, right? So typically what federal prosecutors will do is they're going to look at what sort of planification, took place, and whether or not there was an intent. And in addition to the intent, whether these individuals had the capability of doing this. And all of these elements of the crime are present in this particular case.
But in a statement to Fox 4 News, the attorney for Gavin Weisenberg said, I encourage everyone to hold their horses and stay tuned. An indictment is simply an allegation. And while there is some truth to the allegations, I believe that it will become clear what actually did not, and could not have happened.
So this is lawyer talk. Basically, he's saying that they did make some plans to go carry out this crazy ass story, plan, crime, or whatever you want to call it. But he says what actually did not, and could not have happened. Basically, he's probably saying, yeah, they might have thought about it, they might have talked about it, planned it, but there's no way it could have happened because they didn't have the means, which means that part of the prosecution's case is going to fall apart because they don't really have the ability to go and take over a small island with thousands of people. But let's continue.
If your initial response to the government's press release was, that sounds crazy, impossible, and absurd, you might be onto something.
I've seen a lot, but I've never seen anything like this before on U.S. soil.
And we also heard back from Tanner Thomas's attorney via email this afternoon, and he said that he will be defending this case vigorously, and also added that his client will be entering a plea of not guilty on Monday. Back to you.
All right. Alex Boyer live tonight.
So, fam, number one, you saw one of the defendants. If you saw pay attention to the last names. One of the defendants is probably part of the untouchable community. And y'all know who that is if you follow me long enough. And he's probably the one with the lawyer, the one who actually went to the Air Force, the one who didn't flunk out of fireman school. But with that being said, this story here proves to me without a shadow of a doubt that spirits are real. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because what they're trying to do or what they attempted to do, this is nothing new. This has been going on since the beginning of Western history. Just recall Europeans, Spaniards, Portuguese, whoever, somehow enslaved my ancestors, had them building up this country. They came over here, also pilgrims or whatever, and wiped out Native Americans as quickly as they could because they wanted the resources. I mean, you can go down to like the Aztecs, where there's no more of them left, very few of them, and because they had all the gold, and so they wiped out a lot of them. They created guns, gunpowder, weapons, cannons, and stuff like that. What I'm saying, just wiping out people. Native Americans, if you remember, if they didn't delete them, they captured them, put them on reservations. I remember they put them on reservations in Oklahoma, and then come to find out Oklahoma had oil. So then they picked them up and moved them all the way to Florida. There's a movie, I can't think of what it's called, some kind of movie about a flower or something like that, where them white folk married all these Indian women, what I'm saying, took out, the men, married the women, created families so they can get the oil resources and become millionaires and then wipe them off the face of the earth. They try to do things by the law, but so immorally. It's like, shoot, you might as well not even have a law because you got away with getting away with murder that's why I tell y'all laws, oh man, take it with a grain of salt because they can be changed at any time to fit the narrative. But anyway, white, what I'm saying, taking over people's lands. You got, going to other countries and supposedly helping them, but you got military bases there and taking all their resources. And yet you just look at the continent, the mother continent of Africa. You got all these European and Western countries over there. They control all these countries over there. And yet the people are poor, but they have the most resources in the world on the continent. But all those black people there are poor. But the Anglo, Caucasians, they have all, if not most of the money. Same thing in Haiti. You got all these black people living in poverty, but France still control it. Although they, what they like took had a ride, was able to quote unquote win their freedom, but France was like, well, y'all gonna owe us this money for for the rest of y'all lives until till the end of time. So it ain't like they really won anything. They just France just got tired of fighting against them and said, well, instead of just losing them, we're gonna go ahead and let them have their freedom. But yeah, y'all gonna pay us for your freedom. Just look this stuff up. So, but my point is this type of energy has always been there. That's part of the history. Doing things, try to take over. And it's funny how they wanted to take over a little island of black people. Why aren't they trying to take over their trailer parks in their own neighborhood first? Some of their own people. I'm confused. Go to Wyoming or Montana or something. What I'm saying? Take over there. What I'm saying? Hire homeless people to wipe them, what I'm saying, to wipe their own kind out. Now they ain't gonna do that. They want to go down to Haiti and take over a black island. But anyway, what I wanted to do is kind of give a little more detail and context so y'all can really understand exactly what was going on and what the Feds saw. Okay, for the reason why they actually went after these guys, because the Feds don't go after nobody unless they've done thorough research for a long time, or it just had to be something so crazy that They're afraid that it is about to happen, and they have to stop it right then and there. So we looked it up, and it says, it said, now who the two men from North Texas, Gavin Rivers Weisenberg and Tanner Christopher Thomas, they were indicted by a U.S. federal grand jury. The target was Gonavi Island, a Haitian island off the coast of northwestern Port-au-Prince. Check this out. The island has a population of around 85,000 to 100,000 people per news report. So you got two white boys who felt that somehow they was going to take over an island of 100,000 people by using homeless folks. So according to the indictment and prosecutors, they allegedly planned an armed coup to seize control of the island. Their goal was to delete all men on the island, enslave the women and children, using them as the slaves. Now, remember the news story said that they was indicted on having like child, that child stuff. Then I said that PDF stuff. So that's why they'll probably use young girls and young boys. So just remember that. They said they planned to recruit mercenaries, allegedly homeless individuals in Washington, D.C. for this invasion. Now they got homeless people all over Texas. I wonder why they want to go to get the ones from Washington, D.C. What's different about those guys than the ones in Texas? I'm confused. They conducted. Now check this out. Let me tell you how. Now this is how deep this goes. They say, as part of their preparation, they conducted research, reconnaissance, and recruiting and planning. They studied Haitian Creole, presumably to communicate. They looked into weapons and ammunition, including military type rifles. They planned to transport their force and weapons via sailboat. They say training for the plan. Well, before I get to the training, go back to they conducted research, reconnaissance, recruiting, and planning. See, y'all got to understand, my people, we are so quick to want to say that when them folk do something, we don't care, we don't want to watch it. Like Fox News. Let's go there with politics. A lot of my folks hate Fox News. They won't watch it. Think it's Republican, the racist, Donald Trump bad, whatever. So they don't want to watch Fox News. That's the only news organization I can think of right now. So they won't watch it. The problem is they want to watch the friendly stuff, like the CNN, is it CNN and NBC and MSNBC, in the View, stuff like that. They want to watch the Negro friendly news stations. The problem with that is those stations are only going to tell you what you want to hear. Keep a smile on your face and just tell you that white is bad or Republicans are bad. Period. Point blank. You have to study your enemies. You have to. You know why? Because they study you. How do you think those news outlets that you don't like know so much about you? The Republicans know so much about you. It's because they study you. They research, reconnaissance, recruit, and plan against you every day. Then when they come out with these laws or these bills, like taking down affirmative action or making sure nursing is not part of the professional degree plan, so that the rise of Black nurses or the shrinking of white nurses stops. Told y'all in my last video about the nursing that the recruiting, the graduation rate of white women in nursing dropped down to almost 50% compared to like 60 and 70% in the past. That is something that they don't, that's got to be troubling to them. But then you have more men, and then you have more Black people who are becoming nurses, graduating. And 14%, which you might think is not a lot, but it's in line with the quote unquote supposedly population of our people. So it aligns perfectly, right? They don't want that. Now they don't mind it being 20, 30% of our population being in poverty, being, saying being more than our population, national average. But they don't want you to have too many people being nurses and making good money because now you messing up the whole status quo. But I spoke about that in previous videos, so I won't get into that too much. But again, your enemy studies you, and you have to do if they're your so-called enemy. If you feel that somebody's your enemy, you are supposed to study them because they study you. I know a lot of y'all watch sports. A lot of y'all probably got sons in football, basketball, daughters in baseball, soccer, whatever, basketball. If you want your team, your child's team to win, if the coach wants your child's team to win, he's going to have to understand and study the team that he's about to play to find out what their weaknesses are, the strengths, but really their weaknesses so they can exploit them. Because they may not can stop the strengths, but they can exploit the weaknesses and attack them on that front. That's in any form of competition that you participate in. But like I say, my people want to say, no, we're not going to watch this certain news. No, we're not going to listen to Donald Trump when he does a speech. And we're not going to do that. Why are we going to do that? Because he's stupid and he went bankrupt. But he's a felon. Okay. And all the while, in the meantime, in between time, the laws that you fought, that our ancestors fought for, are falling off. Trying to take Black history out of schools, trying to whitewash slavery, trying to just whitewash the whole history of the United States to make it seem pristine and clean that white folks ain't never did nothing bad to Black people ever. That's what they're trying to do, but yet all you want to do is complain, like Jasmine Crockett, and not doing anything to make sure the right thing happens. Study your enemies. Because if it wasn't for the federal government, wasn't none of y'all gonna stop these two. None of y'all were gonna stop these two. And none of y'all probably have Second Amendments. None of y'all probably was on these websites, watching on these Twitter and X spaces and stuff. Y'all not looking at Instagram pages, y'all not looking at their stuff, seeing what they talking about. By the time y'all hear about it, the feds have already stepped in. So again, learn how to study your enemy so they can't do things like this. Let's say, okay, let's continue. Training for the plan. Weisenberg allegedly enrolled in the fire academy in Texas to gain relevant skills. 2024, 2025, these guys were not playing. How did the feds find out about this? I don't know. Let's continue. He also traveled to Thailand with intentions to learn sailing. Thomas actually joined the U.S. Air Force in January 2025, which prosecutors say was to acquire military training for this plot. He reportedly even changed his Air Force base assignment to Maryland to help with recruiting from D.C. homeless communities. Two guys planned all this, and the Fed stopped them. Which makes me wonder, how in the heck did they not stop the 9/11 attacks? When you had a bunch of people supposedly plotting to run planes into these buildings, and nobody did anything to stop it. They didn't know what was happening. Please explain that to me. They're charged with conspiracy to murder, maim, or kidnap persons in foreign country. They also face prosecution for for PDF pictures charges based on allegations involving a minor. If convicted, a conspiracy charge could carry life in prison. The child PDF charge could be up to 30 years per prosecutors. The indictments alleged a plan span from August 2024 through July 2025. They've been doing it August. They've been planning this for almost a year. Almost a year. And I can't even get y'all to go to a dang on trade school to learn something and get a job or work somewhere else and build your clientele over time so you can make good money. I can't get you to do that. I can't even get you to read one of these books I got on my shelf. But these two dudes plan, but y'all want to be rich. make a lot of money, you know, get with these gurus and stuff to show you how to make this money real quick, how to fraud the banks and credit cards and stuff like that. Y'all take time for that mess. Spend all your money to do that thing, you're gonna get rich quick. But you ain't do nothing to help yourself get rich for the rest of your life. And these two guys were plotting to take over a whole dang island of 100,000 people. And the feds were so worried about it that they actually arrested these dudes and took them seriously. Now, sometimes, who knows? Sometimes you can't always trust the government, it could be a smokescreen for something else that's coming, but I don't think they would have just stopped with just two people. I think they would have tried to maybe accuse a bunch of people just to make it seem more realistic. That's why they say you can't make this stuff up. They say the actions are said to have included social media communications about their plan. But like I said, you don't want to follow your enemies. Weisenberg failed out of the Fire Academy. The investigation involved multiple agencies: U.S. Justice Department, FBI, U.S. Air Force, Office of Special Investigations. The men pled not guilty. Their attorneys argued that there may be some limited factual basis, but also alleged that the government's narrative could be widely misleading. So this is not just a political plot. Prosecutors described it as motivated by the graping fantasies and with a plan to enslave women and children. Yeah, these boys are high as a kite, but they planned for over a year. What kind of drugs would you be on to where you actually thought that this was possible? That you think so little of black people? Ain't just got to be black Americans, just people with my skin color, regardless of where they're from. You think so little of these people, less than human, if you will, that you actually thought that you would be able to take over 100,000 people. They must have all the planet. This island must not have any kind of weapons or any kind of military or army on it or police force on it. That's the only way I would think that you would be able to take these people over. They say an armed coup in a sovereign nation would be a huge violation of international law. The logistical planning they allegedly undertook was not superficial. They tried to get real training, transport, weapons, and language skills. They said this is an unprecedented modern criminal indictment. There are chilling historical echoes. One go back to 1890, where involved U.S. interests in Haiti. And in the 19th century, filibuster expeditions, private citizens raising armies to seize territories in Latin America and the Caribbean. This was more common in U.S. history in the 1800s. You see what I'm saying? These spirits are still here. They are not going anywhere. But anywho, this story is crazy. It should open your eyes. I think it should get more focus by the news media or by grassroots media for sure. Because you got to see what's going on. You got to understand, like I said, this is nothing new. Like I said, this stuff been going on since the 1800s. Are you crazy? They're gonna always try to plan to take over. You got to be ready. Be ready. Study your enemies. Always stay prepared. You know, I was talking to somebody about buying another weapon recently, and they was asking like why? Why would you need a weapon? I'm like, shoot. Number one, because everybody else got one. And two, you never know when these people might decide to say, hey, let's just go over and take over, run black folks out of their house, individual, one by one, just for the heck of it. And they start actually planning this stuff and figure out ways to do it. You know what I'm saying? So you can never be too ready. You can never be over prepared. That's for dang sure. Anyway, tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below. Share it with the world. Let's have an intelligent conversation. You know how we do around here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those four things cost you maybe a couple of minutes out of your day, but it means the world to us here at this channel. And with that being said, I leave you in peace and love, and I'll see you on the other side.